are going to do an update to how to get the Windows NAS drive restarted, the PR4100 NAS. If you are returning and you're getting a blinking blue light, you need to reset the drive because it is searching for something inside the drive and it's not getting it. And what I found was that mine died again, so this is a follow-up to my previous video, and I'm just going to show you what I did, because this time I figured it out much quicker what worked. And this seems to be a particular series of what procedure of what worked. I had data in my drives and my drives were fine, but when it restarted it said it needed to do a reorganization of the drive or something to that nature. I'm going to show you what I found and how I fixed it. So this light here was blinking solid blue. It was blinking blue, and I had this message in my drive. I first, going through my previous video, I first tried to reset it here. I did the 4-second reset, which is just pressing the button in for 4 seconds and seeing if it would reset. That did not work. Then I tried the 40-second reset. I actually left it for approximately 50 seconds to a minute, pushing this button in. First I turned the power off, then I pushed the button in, then I put the power back in, and I held the button in for 50 seconds, maybe a minute. And it's supposed to shut off and restart. It did not, which is basically what was happening before. And with the blue blinking light right here on the connection cable for the network, these were all blank. There's 4 here. When you plug in your network cable here, you should have 2 lights here, one there and one there. And with the blue blinking light, I did not have those lights lit. I was getting a light on my switch end that showed there was a connection, but I was not getting a connection here as long as that blue light, this one here, was blinking. So here's what I did that seemed to work right away that I didn't try before. I held in this top up arrow button and this button to power off the device. As soon as I held them both in at the same time, that's something that you might do on your phone, or some other devices have that trick where if you hold in the button. I took a risk that it could damage my drives, but it wasn't working. I didn't really think it was going to damage the drives or the data, since it's frozen anyway. There's nothing really going on. So I tried it, pushed in this button and this button at the same time until it powered off. You can push this button in for about 4 seconds and it will power off, and then you just have to push this button again to power it back on. But what I did was I pushed this button and this button at the same time until it powered off. And immediately when I turned the power back on, this came back on. This was going on. All of these lights were blinking, and especially these 2, but all 4 of them were blinking. In the past I just had these 2 blinking, and these went solid when I turned the power on. But this time all 4 were blinking. It was making some unusual sounds. Yeah, some weird sounds. And so what I did to do that was Trying to see if I actually had a video of it. So it was making some weird sounds, and then I got on my drive. Oh, that's right, I did take some notes. Okay, so let me just go over my notes here. The blue blinking lights held the arrow and the power up button, the arrow up and the power button to power off. It came back on when I powered on with lights, and on the back it was showing where I had the Cat5 cable plugged in. Both of these lights now were showing that there was a network connection, which it hadn't done before. Then I showed on my router, it showed up, I brought up my router, and it showed up with an IP address. So it was getting a network connection with an IP address. Once I had the IP address, I could log into the device by just putting the IP address in the bar here. It also began to show again in my file manager, and even the mapping of the drives was still good. One thing it did say when when I tried to log back into the PR4100 system manager, it said at the top above the login, it said that there was a power off failure and loss of power, and it was checking the drive in red language above where the ID and password goes when you log into the PR4100. So I believe mine is 10.0.0.28. I think that's what it is. Let's try it. And that should bring up the PR's login. No, it didn't. So maybe I got it wrong. Let's see. Let's try that again. 10.0.0. Let's see. Let's try 27. Okay. Not working. I'm going to make sure that it is there. It is there. I'm going to check on my router. I'm looking on a second screen here that you cannot see where my router is. Let's see. Orbi. Login. Okay, so this is logging into my router. I just want to go to my attached devices to see what the looking for the okay, here's the MyCloud EX2. I have an EX2, but I also have a 4100, so now I'm going to look for the wired 4100. No. Here's my 4100, it's 10.48, so let's try that. 10.0.0.48. Hey, get over here. Sorry about that, I'm talking to my dog. Lie down. Alright, so let's try this. Okay, so when it came up with this screen, the MyCloud login screen, there was a, right along here, there was a statement that said the power was off, loss of power, and that it was checking the drive in red kind of odd writing right here. It took about a minute for that to process. You can hear the drives working, you can hear the drive spinning, you know, like a little beeping almost. Not a beeping, but like you could hear that clicking that goes on in there. That it was working and the lights were popping on and off real fast. So that took about a minute, and then it stopped, and I went ahead and I logged in here, and it worked fine at that point. And I looked back at the blue light and it was solid. So and at the time I looked at all of the files in the drives, and I didn't have to remap the drive or anything. It just came up like it was before it stopped working. In our case, the second case, we had a power outage that I think threw it back into a restart mode that didn't allow it to restart. My guess is that it was the power outage. I think there was a storm or something. I'm going to look into getting a power device, a power backup device, hooked up to it to try and prevent that in the future. This is the second time in about, I don't know, 2 weeks that this has happened. I'm hoping it's not a failure of the whole device. I do have quite a bit of data on there. Maybe time to upgrade the drives. But more data, I put in my previous video how I upgraded the memory and how you do that. So look at the previous video if you need to upgrade the RAM memory. Yeah, they can go up to 16 total. But here it is again. You don't need that. Here it is. Again, you need 2 lights here to show a network connection to lose that blinking blue here. This shows you that this drive is open, drive bay open. But these lights here, when it was blinking here, I was getting, when I started it, I was getting this light and this light blinking, but these would go solid. And then this would just keep blinking. And just to repeat myself, I pressed in this up arrow button and this button to power it off. It took only about, I don't know, 5 or 6 seconds of pressing both in, and you hear it shut off. And then I didn't do anything after that. I just hit this button again. I think I had all of the network cables, and I unhooked any USB drives that were connected into the back. I disconnected all that. The only cable that was running into the device at that time was the power cable and the network cable. You have to have a network cable in there, I believe, to get those 2 lights. Otherwise, you won't get those 2 lights. And you can check on your switch that that particular cable is connected through the switch as well, because it will have the same 2 lights on the switch box. So I had 2 lights on the switch box, and the instructions other people gave me, and I kept trying until it came on. This time, like I said, I tried to reset. 4 seconds didn't work. I tried the 50